They say that good things come in small packages, and that's certainly the case with respect to Napa Valley and California. Maybe not the biggest appellation of the state, but certainly one of the most prominent. The appellation itself stretches from the northern end of San Pablo Bay, which is itself an extension of that famous San Francisco Bay, all the way to the town of Calistoga and actually slightly further north than that. Even though the Napa Valley itself is relatively tight in terms of width and length, it has incredible diversity by virtue of the fact that a good chunk of it is on the valley floor and a good chunk of it is in the mountains. If you think about it, working in from the Pacific Ocean, the first mountain range you hit, the Mayacamas Mountains, actually serves as a rain shadow, protecting the Napa Valley from having way too much moisture. Then it goes down to the valley floor and it kicks up again at the Vaca Range. The Vaca Range is drier because obviously the precipitation dissipates as you go from west to east, but it also is a protection from it becoming too warm as you get east of the actual Vaca Range. Of course, when you talk about Napa Valley, you have to talk about tourism. Whether it's the restaurants, the beauty of the area, incredible hiking, we get a lot of people who want to come and visit. And in fact, that is the #2 destination for tourism in the state after Disneyland. And while it's known for these wonderful Cabernet and Cabernet blends, great wines can be made with other grapes, including the Chardonnay you see right in front of me. One of the AVAs within Napa Valley is Los Carneros. Now, Los Carneros holds the distinct, unique positioning of being partially in Napa Valley and partially in Sonoma County at roughly a 60-40 ratio, 60% in Sonoma and 40% in Napa. In fact, if you look at most labels, you'll note that it just says Los Carneros. In this particular case, we've selected a wine that comes exclusively from the Napa Valley side. Chardonnays from Los Carneros are typified, in fact, a lot by the proximity of the wine to the water, which is to say they all have very vibrant acidity, they all have sharp tropical and tree fruit flavors, but they have a wonderful texture and a wonderful vibrance. This wine is underscored by its tropical character, which is to say it's got pineapple, it's got slightly green papaya notes to it, it's got a little bit of green and orange Crenshaw melon. It also has some strong citrus flavors and slightly greener apple-y or otherwise pomaceous fruit. And you can always tell it's Carneros because the acidity level is a brilliant, almost shrill character, which carries the finish through and leads you to know that this is a wine that'll age quite well in your cellar. If you're unable to locate this specific wine and you want to seek a good alternative, look for a wine that is first, of course, 100% Chardonnay, and second, comes from a cooler area of the Napa Valley. That could be Los Carneros, but that could also be Yountville or the southern parts of Rutherford. Alternatively, you could actually go up, and there are wonderful Chardonnays that come from the mountain vineyards because, of course, the longer diurnal exposure at the end of the day maintains the acidity levels. Having an understanding about the differentiation between the Cabernet Sauvignons and Cabernet Sauvignon blends that come from the valley floor versus those that come from the higher altitudes in the so-called mountains is really important. And as you study your Napa Valley Cabernets more and more, make an effort to have one of each when you're thinking about it. This particular one, which happens to come from the Hess collection on Mount Veeder, one of a handful of the great mountains there, including Spring Mountain, Diamond Mountain, Atlas Peak, and Howell Mountain, is going to give you that sort of quintessential, what we call mountain fruit. Mountain fruit will always be differentiated from valley floor fruit for two things. Number one, the concentration and the power and the intensity of the palate itself. Napa Valley floor fruit is wonderful, it's generous, it's flavorful. Imagine putting that exponentially 2 or 3 times when you get a glass of mountain fruit. The other thing that will always distinguish it, of course, is the structure. So let's go ahead and taste this Hess Collection Napa Valley mountain wine. I'm struck right off the bat by an intensity of fruit, a very dark, powerful blackberry, black plum fruit. Not a lot of red elements here, but almost a sense of the terroir. So the other thing that I find in Napa Valley mountain wines is you get a case of actual minerality, of a stoniness that you find in the wines. This wine also has elements of licorice, cola nuts, and other elements of spice. There's also a distinctive oak overlay on it. Not too much, but you'll get a nuance of cocoa, of Chinese 5-spice, of a little bit of soft baking spice, and just a note of smokiness. In the palate, that's where you taste the mountains. This wine has got a leanness to it, as opposed to being rounder and smoother like you would find in the valley floor. The acidity level is a little brighter, architecture a little bit more spiny, and then on top of that, you've got a fairly gripping tannic structure. Two things I would suggest. One, if you want to enjoy this wine now, best to have a big steak next to it. Two, if you're patient, put it in your cellar and wait about 5 to 8 to 10 years. Napa Valley Mountain Cabernets can handle it.